It got pretty cold last night, about 14 degrees. As you can see, we had a bit of an ice storm. My crew's sorting their gear. We had I don't know, about an inch of ice. Lay on all the equipment. Solid as a rock. That is a, gotta give a shout out to Kelty. They've been around a long time, but that's a Kelty Noah, and that's one of the best tarps. There's some really good ones out there, but I've had that on many rivers and waterways and trails east of the Mississippi, and it's held up really well. Takes a pretty high volume column of water and performs pretty well. Inside, just kind of giving you a gear show here. That is a War Bonnet from War Bonnet Outdoors. XLC. Phenomenal piece of equipment. Right now I've got the winter top cover on there. It has a vent at the foot end. You can see at the far end there to reduce condensation buildup. The interior, I've actually got hammock gear, and I'm using their burrow and their incubator system, and it's the Eco line. It saves you a few bucks, but it's a really good product. Those are the 10 degrees, and I literally got so warm last night that I had to remove some layers. And what you see on the bottom there is not actually the underquilt. That is an underquilt protector, also from Hammock Gear, and basically keeps ice and rain if it blows in. We had some real bad wind on Watauga in East Tennessee, about 60-mile-an-hour gusts, and developed some ice on the bottom of my underquilt. That didn't work out too well, because once it's wet, you lose all the insulated properties. But guys, I think I'm doing pretty good this morning for not having the first sip of coffee I'm holding in my hand. Back to some of the gear we depend on. These are Wilderness Systems, and these are Tsunami lines. This is my wife's phenomenal boat. We'll be chipping the ice of it before we get going again. Mine's a Tsunami 145. These are utility, they're fast, they track well, they pack well. You can load these things down, 300-pound weight capacity. I'd like to give you an idea of some of the gear that we wear in these environments. Right now I just checked the thermometer. It's actually 12 degrees where I'm standing. NRS, been around a long time. Makes a pretty good product. And there's a lot of cottage companies out there and small companies that are trying to break their way through and into the industry as far as gear goes. And I've discovered a couple hiking bikes makes a pretty phenomenal product. My wife uses one of their zero down bags, and it's held up really well. Kept her pretty warm and snug last night. North Face, of course, that's top shelf stuff. You don't really need to buy the name brand things to get the product that you need. There's some good quality stuff, but these NRS paddle pants, which actually show up in one of our videos, I believe it's on YouTube, they're fantastic. And these NRS titanium, they're wetsuit material. It's neoprene, but they're sealed. So, to give you an idea, wearing 2 pairs of wool socks, I don't even feel the coldness of the river, and you see how cold it is out here. Completely waterproof, rugged, slip resistant, great stuff. So when you go out and you do these areas and you do these things, anytime you're venturing out in conditions to where, as last night, icing, and there's no help, no cell phone service, you've got to be really, really, really cautious. And I go back to the prelude of this conversation. You better have your gear in order, and your head. You don't want to come out on these adventures and drink alcohol, do things that compromise your judgment, because everything can be fine one moment, and you can find yourself in a world of crap in the next. The river was closed about 4 days ago due to flood stage. So I'm going to pan back up again. But right now, you can probably see about maybe 2 feet to the bottom. It's pretty cloudy, and that's what happens with this river. So, or any river for that matter. There's several springs that feed this river. We've started out up just below Baptist Camp, and it's almost to the source, which is Montauk State Park, and that's the first spring up at Montauk. And that feeds the river, and it picks up Medlock Spring down from that. And then further from that location, as you move down from Medlock, you'll pick up Cave Spring, Welsh Spring, not necessarily in that order, and Pull Tight. Round Springs down here. You got Fire Hydrant Spring that's just past Pull Tight, which is a water column jetting right out of a bluff at water level. You won't miss it. You can hear it. If you go by Pull Tight, make sure you cut right, park your canoe or kayak or inner tube or whatever time of year you're negotiating the river, and take a walk up the trail. There's an old cabin up there, pretty nostalgic, and that's the source of that spring. We're going to be going all the way down to Two Rivers, so we've got several miles we're going to have to burn today, and probably about finishing up with 7 or 8 miles till we pull out on Sunday. All right, wrapped up another day. Pulled about 18 miles today. As you can see, further down river is still really swollen. Moving along pretty good. We were looking for some campsites that actually had a decent spread of trees without a lot of deadfall. And when the river's up like this, gravel bars that are usually very common on this river, you can camp about every 200 to 300 yards, are gone. They're underwater at this point. But we did happen upon this. Very fortunate. Some other gear that I wanted to tell you about, and I really highly recommend. I previously spoke about NRS, great product. But this deck bag is phenomenal. They call it the Taj Mahal. And I saw some mixed reviews on it, etc. But I needed a good one. Sea to Summit, I believe, makes one, and Osprey. And there's all kinds of ones on Amazon. You can see them all day long. But it does pretty well. It's not waterproof. It does resist water. There's an insert that keeps it shaped. It does come with a dry bag inside that velcros to the back. Another thing sitting on top, you can see I'm charging 2 different devices. Be charging my Garmin 64 ST and of course the phone. There is no cell phone service, as I said before, but we're about 6 miles from the takeout and about an hour on the road before we pick up cell phone service, so I want it ready to go at that point. The solar panel charger you see there, honestly, I don't even know the brand name. It was a gift. I've been field testing it for a while. I believe it's called HISO25. But the thing is phenomenal. It's been dropped. As you can see right now, possibly, that green light means it's actually taking a charge, and it's about 5:30 in the evening right now. So pretty handy to have in the field. I think it's about 25,000 milliamps. Not bad. But anyway, that's about it. It's probably about 38 degrees out here right now. And got a nice little spot. Did notice some droppings back there. And probably some wild boar. We jumped some down at Pull Tight Spring. Pretty massive, massive sized pigs. And those things, in the right situation, aren't exactly a friendly encounter, but I think we're good. They're usually more afraid of us than we are of them, unless we do something stupid. So other than that, I'm gonna sign off, get something to eat. See you tomorrow. Well, back with you again. Time for dinner. It's probably a little bit before 9 o'clock. So we are kind of defaulting to the Mountain House variety of freeze-dried foods. And I'll tell you, this beef stew, it's pretty good stuff. It's not bad. Not too salty, not too sweet. And don't overload it with sodium. Definitely keeps you going. This is 2.5 servings. That's kind of hard for one human being to finish. Depends on your appetite. But in conditions like this, as I mentioned earlier, even though you're not hungry, you got to eat. And you got to hydrate. Drink plenty of water. Just because you're not thirsty, just because you're not hungry, doesn't necessarily mean you're not putting yourself in some danger. So, with that, might talk to you later. I'm going to sign off for now. Take care, guys. Bye. All down for the night. Once again, we've got ice. It's just part of it. But we're ready for it. Fire's still going in the distance. Wife is getting... How you doing in there, honey?
Good.
Can you get around your boat?
Huh?
Can you work around your boat?
Oh, yeah.
You good?
Oh, yeah.
Just getting situated. John went to bed quite some time ago. He's good to go. Sun rises at 6:52 in the morning, so it'll come quick. Good night.